Hello, this is Greg Hawk. I've got a couple treasure stories for you. Uh, Being a treasure hunter for over 30 years, I learned early on that you read a treasure story, you just don't run out and start looking, because I would say 95% of them are pretty well made up. I mean, these treasure story writers get paid for writing treasure stories, whether there's any truth to them or not. Some of them have a threaded truth that they embellish upon. But today we're going to look at a couple stories. One was called The Lost Jenkins Lode, and it was written about in 1945. The story was published in Barry Storm's book, Thunder God's Gold. I think it was chapter 12. It was about a 2 or 3 page story. Like I say, it was called The Lost Jenkins Lode. The other story, which I'm going to publish in about a week or two in another video, is going to be called Jenkins' Lost Mine. And that happened around 1927 when the claim papers were filed on that mine in the Superstitions. And I had the claim papers and all the documentation. It's quite a story involving a lady who went through a lot of diversity during the time of the Depression. All right. So stay tuned, just subscribe to my channel, and I'll notify you as soon as that one comes out. It's very interesting. So let's get back to the story that Barry Storm wrote about, Jenkins' Lost Lode. All right, in 1937, William P. Jenkins and his wife Marion took their 2 daughters, aged 10 or 11, into the Superstition Mountains for a picnic. So let's go ahead and go to the book, and we'll go through it. And we'll do kind of a forensic investigation of everything. We'll use old newspaper clippings, death records, genealogy to go ahead and dig into this. Okay, this is a picture of Barry Storm's book cover from 1945 when it was published. We're going to turn into the first page here, and I highlighted things we researched. William P. Jenkins, Marion, and 2 girls, Marion and Wilma, are all real people. He said they moved from Maryland. We think he moved from New York, because the 2 girls were both born in New York. And when they went in for this picnic on August the 1st, which is Sunday, the girls were 11 and 12 years old. And at the bottom there, after 3 hours of hiking from the car, they ate lunch. Well, the temperature out there had to be over at least 100 degrees, so that's a red flag to me. The second page, we highlighted some more stuff. Bill climbed up the slope after getting to the picnic site and went around for about an hour. He come back with this rock to show Marion, this heavy rock. And in fact, he carried it all the way back to the car. So, I mean, Bill's out there hiking for 7 hours, 3 hours in, 3 hours back, and an hour picking up this rock. And he also said the whole hillside was covered with the same kind of rock. All right. And Barry had it assayed at $2,000 a ton, it says. And he went out there the next morning to try to track down where they found this and couldn't find it. And he tried to talk Bill into going back out there. But Marion got transferred to Tucson as a civil service job. 2 years passed by, Storm says. And he couldn't get Bill to go back out there. Well, Bill finally agreed in August of 1939, and he would meet up with Barry in November, supposedly to go back in there to show him where it was. And Barry started putting this together in October of 39. Bill never appeared. Over a year later, he contacted Marion. Marion said, "Oh yeah, Bill came back, and after a day after he's supposed to be there, or a day before he's supposed to be there, he died of a heart attack." Okay, so then he goes on to say that he made an agreement with Marion to obtain some maps, documents, everything pertaining to that, and then he went searching. This is a map that Barry Storm put together in a book, and it also shows a jar that supposedly Marion had out there on a picnic. This is a newspaper clipping from 1939 from the Buffalo, New York newspaper, telling about William P. Jenkins had been visiting family there, and he died about a week later after leaving there. And he said he was 42. He was 2 weeks shy of that. And at the bottom it tells about him being in World War I, being wounded and gassed while he was over there, and coming back and serving 4 years as a government agent. Next, we look at his death certificate. Place of death was Old Vale Road in Tucson. He was on the left-hand side, he was 41 years, 11 months, 17 days old. He was a veteran. And underneath that says retired. What does that mean? Was he incapable of working? I mean, was his war injuries? He couldn't work? Anyway, on the right-hand side is cause of death, suicide, overdose of Nembutal, which was a phenobarbital. And if you look at the date, September 18th, 1939, if that's the case, why didn't Marion call Barry Storm and alert him to that? Another question. In searching the internet, we came across this article written by Jim Hatt with a foreword and background by Clay Wurst. It talks about Barry Storm's treasure story about Jenkins' lost Lode. And this article is based around the letter they happened to be able to get a copy of. And it was a very interesting letter talking about another trip back into Superstitions in 1937. And the second page tells about it. It was a trip made by Barry Storm, George Snell, Francis Spitzel, and was led by Bill Jenkins in September of 1937. So that really goes against what Barry Storm wrote in his book, and also said they went up a totally different canyon than what was in the book. This is the first page of the letter from George Snell to Chuck Ayler in July 23rd, 1957. It says that 4 of us, Barry, Bill Jenkins, Francis Spitzel, and myself, went up the barge from Canyon Lake. And a couple things bothered him. He says, one was, why would the Jenkins family bring 2 youngsters with them and go all that way for just a picnic lunch? And another thing was when Jenkins was leading his hazy recollection of landmarks. He goes on to say this took place in September of 1937. And Jenkins should have remembered more since he was there recently. All right. Barry took Jenkins out of the vet hospital to make the trip, and he was in bad shape. Did Barry make a deal with Jenkins, promising money on his book sales? Barry was sly. This is the second page of the letter, and when they get there, Jenkins takes them up this slope. So this looks like the place. And George goes and says, well, this doesn't match the map that Barry had in the book. And he goes on to say that most likely Jenkins never did draw a map up. On down the page, he reiterates the fact that, that Jenkins and his wife and 2 little children, he wouldn't venture that far from the car to go have a picnic. And down in the next highlighted section, he says, Barry's kind of a stretcher of the truth, and that ore sample he had with all the gold might have been out of somebody's prized collection, maybe not even out of the Superstitions. There's a few more pages to this article, so if you want to look it up on the internet, I'd look it up, and then you make your decision. Well, I hope you liked the forensic investigation of this treasure story. It kind of gives you an idea how to search things and try to find the truth. So it's up to you if you want to believe that story or not. I just offered the facts the best I could come up with. And a special thanks to my friends Jim and Georgie Fink for doing all the research. It's a team effort here. Newspaper clipping, death records, and genealogy all enter into it, trying to bring the truth to light. If you get a chance, go to our website at desertrumorpress.com. Check out our treasure blog and videos. And we just added a couple new books on there. One was about the lost Adam Gold and written by a cowboy. And it's very interesting. And I think he solved the problem or the puzzle to that treasure. Also, you can go to our YouTube channel and check it out. We've got over 22 videos right now and growing. Okay, and if you like, I've got my book on desertroamerpress.com. So y'all take care. I'll catch you soon on the next one. Thank you.